My name is Serena Val, I'm 33, and I have always been the one everyone relies on. Quietly, invisibly, almost like a shadow. Mornings, I run a small design studio. Afternoons, I help friends and clients with weddings, events, or anything that needs meticulous planning. Evenings, I teach a private online course in digital media, voice warm from hours of speaking. My life was full, but my family, they never seemed to notice. Not really. It started with a message from my mother, cold, short, efficient, the kind that drips like ice. "You're not coming to the wedding. Lily's family doesn't want you there." I read it twice, coffee cooling in my hands. My thumb hovered over the reply field. "So you chose status over blood." I typed it and sent it. No emojis, no sarcasm, just truth. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the gray wall. Not anger, not even sadness. Just a quiet, heavy shift inside me, like some part of myself had detached and was now watching the scene from a distance. This wasn't new. My family always needed me, until they didn't. I remembered the first time I realized this pattern, helping Lily plan her engagement while I was sitting in a corner, ignored, though I had arranged the proposal, negotiated the venue, and paid for the photographer because her parents' credit card kept declining. I found the Airbnb for her bachelorette party, paid deposits for her bridal shower, designed the invitations, created the RSVPs, all under my login. They still didn't see me. And now they were building a picture-perfect family tableau, curated smiles, and filtered joy, with me absent. I had always been the invisible engine, helpful, quiet, expendable. A slow, deliberate calm washed over me. I opened the laptop, logged into the wedding planner account, and canceled the venue deposit. Paid with my card, under my name, non-refundable. They didn't know. The folder, all my designs, the seating charts, welcome signs, every last one, deleted. Rename the folder. Good luck without me. No one would know until the morning they tried to confirm the florist, until the photographer didn't show, until the venue emails came. They always assumed I would stay silent, swallow my pride, be the dramatic one who overreacted. They didn't know the truth. 6 months earlier, Lily called me in tears. Her boyfriend, Zach, had been laid off. Rent overdue. Landlord threatening eviction. I transferred $3,800 from my savings before she finished crying. Third time that year, I bailed them out. First, Dad accidentally over-withdrew from retirement, needed $5,000. Second, Mom forgot the bachelorette Airbnb was under my credit card, let the girls trash the place. I kept spreadsheets, screenshots, not to accuse, but to prove to myself that I wasn't imagining the slow bleed of money, energy, and patience into a family that treated me like a silent donor. It wasn't just money, it was the treatment afterward. Dad joked, "Maybe you should be a housewife since clearly you aren't breadwinner material." Everyone laughed, even Lily. When Lily got engaged, she told me over FaceTime while Mom and Dad were literally behind her on the couch, cheering. They had planned her proposal, shopped for her ring together. I found out from a screen. And still, I thought maybe, just maybe, if I helped enough, they'd finally see me. I paid for the engagement shoot, built the website, created custom invitations, paid deposits. I was building their dream brick by brick while they fed me leftovers and called me a good sport. And then came the text. Exclusion. Cold, precise, cutting. At that moment, I understood. Enough was enough. The family didn't want me. Fine. I'd stop being their invisible engine. But this time, I wouldn't just leave quietly. I would take control. Quietly, carefully. But with every ounce of justice I could muster. I shut the laptop and leaned back, letting the calm settle. For the first time in a long while, I didn't feel used. I felt ready. The night I deleted every wedding file, something shifted. It wasn't triumph, it was clarity. A ledger of all the sacrifices I'd made, invisible and unacknowledged, played in my mind like a slow, relentless slideshow. Every cent, every hour, every ounce of care poured into a family that never truly saw me. 6 months of bailouts, 6 years of silent labor, countless events meticulously orchestrated for everyone else's happiness while mine remained secondary. And yet, I wasn't angry. Not really. I was free. I started going through the old receipts, invoices, screenshots. Every time Lily called me helpful while her parents plotted their picture-perfect life, every time they dismissed me as sensitive, every time my suggestions were ignored unless it benefited them, I cataloged it. Not for revenge, not yet, just for clarity. Proof that I wasn't imagining it, that I hadn't been foolish to feel invisible. Then came the direct attacks, messages and subtle digs. Aunt Megan's group text. Hey, I heard you're not invited to the wedding. True? Uncle Jeff's. Did you say something to Zach's dad? Just curious. And finally, Lily's post. A photo of her and Zach with my parents in front of the rustic barn, captioned, "So proud of our family. Can't wait for the big day with all the right people by our side." The right people, and I wasn't among them. That night, I couldn't sleep. I pored over every past interaction, every exchange where I gave, and they took. I remembered paying for the Colorado Lodge upgrade when Zach's parents complained it was too rustic. I remembered designing the Save the Date website, handling RSVPs, choosing floral arrangements. Everything I touched, they treated like a service. Not love, not care, not family, just utility. A week later, I got a family group text asking for help with Lily's bridal shower decorations. Serena, can you make a landing page for RSVPs? The casual expectation was astounding. 10 minutes later, Lily messaged me privately. Can you just do this one thing without being passive-aggressive? I didn't reply. Instead, I went back into the wedding planner account, requested a refund for the $2,500 deposit. Non-refundable, technically. But my foresight in buying wedding insurance paid off. 90% refunded. Then I deleted every design I had ever made. RSVPs, table assignments, welcome signs, all gone. The storm hit fast. Mom called, hysterical. What are you doing? Do you know how this looks? I do. That's why I'm doing it, I said, calm and unshaken. Dad called, skipped niceties, straight to yelling. You've always been jealous of Lily. That's what this is. I held the phone away from my ear, hung up. Not bitter, not hurt, just done. Then came the package. A yellow envelope, no return address. Printed screenshots from Lily's bridesmaids' chat. We'll get Serena to pay for the cake, too. Just guilt her about being the only sister. Works every time. Zach doesn't even like her. He said she gives him the creeps. LOL. She won't be at the wedding. I'll make sure of it. Watch. A sticky note on top. You deserve better. K. K? I didn't know her, but when I would meet her, everything would change. She had more than screenshots. She had audio. And when I heard it, I knew exactly what I would do at the rehearsal dinner. I didn't come to eat. I didn't come to watch. I came to bury the circus. Calm, focused, clean. The rehearsal dinner was staged to impress. A vineyard 30 minutes outside the city, rustic luxury, overpriced wine, fairy lights stapled haphazardly to trees. I walked in quiet, poised. No one expected me. That much was obvious. Lily mid-laugh, Zach's arm around her, my parents stiff, avoiding eye contact. The scene was perfect for their narrative. Serena, the dramatic sister, the villain, the obstacle. But I wasn't there to play their part. I was there to rewrite it. I tapped a glass. Sorry to interrupt. Conversations froze. An awkward chuckle, a frown from Lily. I pulled a small speaker from my jacket and set it on the table. Then I held up a flash drive. What are you doing? Zach asked, confusion and concern colliding in his tone. You're about to hear exactly what you deserve, I said, clicking play. Voices from the bridesmaids' chat filled the room. We'll get Serena to pay for the cake, too. Just guilt her about being the only sister. Works every time. Zach doesn't even like her. He said she gives him the creeps. LOL. She won't be at the wedding. I'll make sure of it. Watch. The room went silent. Mouths gaped. Forks clattered. I didn't flinch. Lily lunged for the speaker. I stepped in front. Sit down. Not a request. I held up the folder. Hard copies, screenshots, receipts, every transaction, every text where I'd been dismissed or mocked. I spent over $11,000 on this wedding. I designed your website, paid deposits, coordinated vendors. I did it because I thought, foolishly, that this was family. Lily's mascara streaked her cheek. You don't understand. No, you don't. You never did. You didn't want a sister. You wanted a wallet. Zach looked from her to me, stunned. My parents, furious, silent, helpless. Then came Kristen, woman in gray, badge, phone. Hi, I'm Kristen. Serena and I used to work together. I run a digital forensic agency. She asked me to verify these files. 100% authentic. No edits. Lily's mouth fell open. Mom gasped. Dad barked, "Is this a joke?" Kristen shook her head. "Not a joke. You lied, Lily. Everything here is real." Chaos erupted. My aunt shouted. Glasses knocked over. My parents sputtered. I stood calm, watching the fire burn. I raised my voice once more. "I'm not coming to the wedding. You already made that decision. But now you can do it without my money, my help, or my silence. You cut me out the moment you realized I wouldn't play the puppet anymore, so I'm cutting the strings too." Zach's voice. "I'm calling it off." Loud, clear. Lily screamed, "You can't do this here!" "Oh," I said, quiet but deadly. "He just did." I walked out. No dramatic music, no slow motion, just the sound of everything they built collapsing behind me. I didn't drive home that night. I didn't even take the highway. I turned onto a side road north, somewhere quiet, a place with no signal, no witnesses, no breadcrumbs. A month earlier, I'd signed a lease on a small, forgotten cottage. Population 600, a single diner, one gas station. Perfectly invisible. 6 months' rent paid up front. No forwarding address, no digital trails, just silence. For the first 3 days, I didn't turn on my phone, didn't check emails, didn't answer messages. I sat on the porch with a thermos of black coffee, listening to birds claim territory they'd never really own. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt free. No tension in my neck, no guilt weighing me down. No one asking for money, no one pretending to care, no one needing me, just long enough to exploit me. By day 4, I enrolled in something I'd always been too ashamed to chase, an archival preservation course at the local college. Dusty newspapers, forgotten letters, historical photographs. Finally, a world where honesty mattered, where labor was its own reward. I volunteered at the county museum, cataloged photos from the 1950s, fixed an old microfilm machine. For once, nobody noticed or cared, and I didn't care either. It was mine. Quietly mine. Messages began trickling in a week later. Old Gmail notifications forwarded to my emergency phone. "Can we just talk? You went too far. We're still family." I didn't read them. I left the phone off. They weren't seeking reconciliation. They were trying to reset the game. What scared them wasn't the evidence I had. It was the silence I chose. For the first time, I wasn't in their control. 3 weeks later, a court notice arrived at my old apartment. My father had tried to sell a portion of family property. Unbeknownst to him, I had locked the deed 2 years ago. The deal collapsed. Fraud investigation. Not because I orchestrated it, but because I withdrew. Because I stopped performing. Because I became irrelevant. Silence became my armor. No birthday calls, no emergency rescues, no obligations. The only contact I allowed myself was occasional check-ins with the archival instructor, small talk with museum volunteers. My life became a quiet reclamation of agency. A month later, I drove past the wedding venue I'd canceled. Empty, abandoned. Wilted bouquet crushed on the gravel. I rolled down the window. The breeze carried the smell of rain and regret. Before leaving, I slipped a small envelope in the venue mailbox. No return address. Inside, a printout of the last invoice I paid for the wedding, with a post-it note. "Thanks for nothing. I've stopped checking the old email, but sometimes I log in just to watch the flood." No one could reach me, no one could manipulate me, and for the first time in years, I felt whole. The people who built their lives on my labor, my care, my silence were left with nothing but absence. And that absence spoke louder than any argument, any confrontation, any lecture ever could. It wasn't revenge, it was survival. Weeks passed. The world I'd left behind grew quieter by the day, as if it existed only in my memory now. I didn't log in, didn't check messages, didn't respond. I stayed tucked in my small cottage, listening to the wind and the occasional hum of the diner's neon sign down the road. The first time someone mentioned the fallout in public, I wasn't there to witness it. In a grocery line, I overheard someone whisper, "Did you hear about the wedding fiasco? Her brother. She vanished. Took everything with her." I smiled faintly and walked on. That was exactly what I wanted. Irrelevance to them, invisibility to the world, quiet to myself. Months later, I received the occasional forwarded email from strangers who had been at the rehearsal dinner. They asked, "Is she okay?" or "What happened?" I never answered. The curiosity, the outrage, the speculation, It all belonged to them, not me. I built a life that didn't require validation, didn't hinge on performing for anyone else. At the museum, I uncovered letters that hadn't been read in decades, photographs that had been neglected, stories that had been lost. Every day, I added a piece of history to the archive, and in turn, reclaimed pieces of my own story. One quiet evening, I sat on the porch with my thermos of coffee, watching the sunset bleed gold into the horizon. For the first time in years, I didn't feel invisible. I felt present, grounded, free. The phone remained off. The emails piled up unread. The invitations, the apologies, the accusations, they all existed in a world I had left behind. The family who had taken me for granted, who had counted on my silence, my generosity, my compliance. They were ghosts now, fragments of a past I'd survived. And Serena Vale? I was no longer defined by their expectations, their judgments, their betrayals. I was a person who had finally chosen herself. In that stillness, I realized something profound. Freedom isn't loud. It isn't dramatic. It isn't about proving a point. Freedom is the quiet reclaiming of your own life. It's the ability to walk away without looking back, to exist without permission, to simply be. And I was finally undeniably free.